Many of us probably in this room have been recipients of a sponsor. Maybe some of you are here because you had a sponsor. But think of those highly talented, intelligent people, high aspirations that have been passed by. They haven't had a sponsor because they didn't have the visibility, the access to those influential people in the organization. It's an unfortunate thing for that individual, but the way I look at it, it's also a loss for the organizations. Because what they've lost is that thought leadership. They've lost those new ideas. They've lost people who have unique talents and gifts and perspectives that are needed in the 21st century. So I think organizations have tried, at least Jambo has worked now for 20 years with corporations and institutions to help them really move the needle in terms of leadership, in terms of diversity, and particularly around women in leadership. So while we've been intentional about the programs we put in, invested a lot of time and money, I think our view, it looks good on paper, but from more of a programmatic, practical results perspective, we haven't made it yet. Because I think this is the first time in my 20 years, 30 years of leadership development that I really see an opportunity for us to really move beyond conversation to action and to really begin to look at a way to not only enhance sponsorship initiatives and organizations, but why I think this will be successful is that everybody has the chance to be involved. This is just not a leadership program for women, and it's not something that men need to do, nor organizations. It's a three-legged stool, my friends. It really is about organizations, men and women coming together versus working in silos to address this issue. And I think that is the secret sauce of what is going to make this successful. So what will be great about sponsorship, it'll force us to broaden our lens. It'll help us to step out of the fray, have a broader peripheral vision of those highly talented people that we haven't seen or noticed before, but we're glad now that we know that they're out there.
When we go in and we help people to shape their business case, well, we've had a number of diversity initiatives across organizations, and I think they've been well intended. But what we have found is that most diversity programs and results look good on paper, but they haven't been able to really move the needle in terms of what a sponsorship initiative does. It really helps to create more visibility, access for those top talented people, to have the chance to go for a job, to be considered for a role. And then there's somebody behind that is committed and actually is intentional about pulling these people up. And that's where I think we're going to be really seeing the difference. And I think it's not just a diversity program. It's not just the responsibility of HR or learning. It's everybody's responsibility. From those sponsees, those women, minorities, who's ever the sponsee, to the actual sponsor and the organization to create that right kind of climate. It's all about business. It's all about better business results. Now, here's the good news, is that studies have been able to indicate that when you have more diversity at the top, and you have a balance of diversity, and in the context of these studies, a balance of men and women at the top in senior leadership roles, 46% increase in EBITDA, 26% increase in return on investment, higher levels of engagement. Because if people think that they have a level of sponsorship, people care about them, they have a path that they can really carve out and work with somebody on, they're much more engaged. They're much more accountable for their career. And it's interesting when women climb up, up in the organization, they hit a tipping point. Those that have a sponsor will continue to engage and have a higher level of aspiration within their own selves, and therefore they're more motivated. But those who don't have a sponsor, somebody who really has their back, aspiration levels typically tend to decrease, and they're not as engaged, hence you may end up having a regrettable loss.